I have a very special guest that I'd like to talk to right now. Retired human rights lawyer Priscilla Jana is noted for having fought for nearly all the struggle stalwarts incarcerated on Robben Island, due mainly to her participation in Umkhonto We Sizwe. She was the personal lawyer of former President Nelson Mandela and is noted for delivering Solomon Mahlangu's final quote to the people of South Africa before his execution in 1979. Now, post-apartheid, she's served as the ambassador to the Netherlands and Ireland, and she's now written an autobiography entitled Fighting for Mandela. Priscilla Jana joins us now from our Sea Point studios in Cape Town. Thank you so much for joining us, and a very warm welcome to Morning Live on Women's Day.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for the good wishes. It's good to be talking to you.
All right, so let's start with this story of yours, and it is a remarkable one. I mean, in 1956, I think you were just entering your teens. How aware were you of the march and also the political framework in which it took place?
Not at all, or very, very little indeed, Peter. I was far too young then to really understand the full implications. I think I fully became aware in about the 60s, in my teenage years, that there was this issue. And of course, I became acutely aware when I was in about high school that we women in South Africa needed to do something. And I knew about the struggle by then. And of course, it inspired me a lot to do what I did.
Because you were meant to study medicine, weren't you, initially? And then you chose the law. And was that specifically because you wanted to try and contribute in some way?
Well, initially it was fortuitous because I could not get into a medical school in South Africa. You know, those days you had to get permission from the minister, and then you had to get admission in the medical schools. And then there were only few reserved seats for us black people. And then I was sent to India to study medicine, but after 2 years I had to come back for personal reason, and I could not get into a medical school, and I started studying law, and I never regretted that because I think that was my forte, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think in some small way I was able to contribute to this country as a lawyer.
Well, some people would say it was not a small way, but a huge way. But I guess doing law, but then you went into human rights law, and that put you right in the front line of the struggle and dealing with these struggle icons, one of which was Nelson Mandela. Is that what inspired the title of your book, Fighting for Mandela?
Yes, indeed. I was extremely fortunate that when I served my article, my first clients were Winnie and Nelson Mandela. After I met Nelson Mandela for the first time in 1977, whilst I was still serving articles with the firm Ishmael Ayob, I realized then that my life is going to be devoted to human rights. I could not in any way accept that the stature of our leader like Nelson Mandela was in Robben Island, incarcerated away from his people. And when I saw him for the first time on the way back from Robben Island, I cried all the way on the boat. And then and there I vowed to myself that I am going to devote my entire energies to the liberty of people in South Africa.
But Nelson Mandela wasn't the only person that you represented. You represented many. Solomon Mahlangu was one of them. And I just wonder if you could take us through those final words that he is now kind of become famous for. Tell us about those words and how it came about that you were able to share them with us.
Solomon Mahlangu, in my opinion, was one of South Africa's greatest heroes. I went with him along his trial. I defended him, and I saw him right to the end. I was the last person to see him in the prison in Pretoria before his execution at 6 a.m. on the 6th of April. And I saw him at 10 p.m. that night. And I must tell you that I have yet to come across a braver person. He was incredibly brave and extremely committed to his cause. He had absolutely no regrets. He faced his final stages like a true martyr. And the message that he gave Tell my people that I love them. Tell them they must continue the fight, and my blood will nourish the tree of freedom. And indeed it did. We did receive our freedom, and of course we recognize him as one of the people that paid a heavy price and sacrificed his life for the freedom that we today enjoy.
All right, yeah, freedoms certainly that we're all enjoying. On Women's Day, as a woman soldier yourself, I just wonder, the things that you fought for, have they come to pass as you look at South Africa in 2016? And what would you like to see more for women as the struggle continues, some would say?
Peter, I think we've come a long way. I think certainly for 60 years, within the 60 years, women in South Africa have achieved a lot. But I think we still got a long way to go. We still have discrimination, we have disparity, we have poverty, and as you know, women are the lowest rung of the ladder in terms of poverty. They are the bearers of poverty in this country. So I think that we're on the way, but we have to devote our energies now fully to achieve that. I think 22 years into our freedom is a long time. And we have achieved some things, whilst we still got a long way to go. And I would call upon women on Women's Day today to make a commitment to devote our energies to gain what we have been fighting for all our life. And that is equality, non-discrimination, and of course, to fight against poverty and to get equal opportunities.
Priscilla Jana, unfortunately, I'm going to have to end it there. I could talk to you for hours and hours, but we certainly look forward to your thoughts and your story in the book, Fighting Mandela. That's a human rights lawyer, activist, and one of the women that contributed to the freedom of South Africa. Priscilla Jana, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, a little